teammates and skate all around this ice surface. They're back in first place.
This San Jose team did everything it could in the final 2 games, getting 4 points in hopes of getting that #1 spot in the Western Conference.
Are you guys ready for the playoffs? We're ready as we're going to be. Hold on to your seats because we're coming. That's all I got to say.
After last year, it was you want to redeem yourselves in a hurry.
An exhausting 2 months of hockey.
And hopefully we'll learn some lessons.
We are where we need to be, and now we got to man up and get out on the ice and do it.
It has been an incredible postseason so far for the San Jose Sharks, but putting it all into perspective, the franchise is only a little more than halfway to the goal it was built for, winning the Stanley Cup. We go in search of hockey's holy grail. I'm Brody Brazil, and before we look ahead at what is to come for Team Teal, we first should reminisce on the storied road that got them here.
Welcome to the opening game of the Stanley Cup playoffs for the Sharks. It's been a long time coming. It's been anticipated really for a year.
17,562 will be on their feet. It's round 1, game 1.
They score, and Colorado steals game 1. Many feel the second game of the series is when it really gets going. Heatley, shot, rebound, they score! Joe Pavelski, and we're tied a 5th time. They score! They score! And the Sharks tie the series. Then it's in the net. The game is over.
You've got to be kidding me.
The Sharks lose a heartbreaker.
I'm going to need to be strong and get over it.
And of all people, Dan Boyle makes it 1-0. Pavelski, he scores! He scores! He scores!
And I can't help but think this is how it was supposed to be.
The Sharks have a great opportunity here to take this series in 6 games. Pavelski scores! And the series is over.
Here's Pavelski, scores! Here's Thornton out in front, they score! Pavelski goes down and slip, they score!
3 guys who they count on have tallied here, and they have shocked and stunned the Red Wings.
The San Jose Sharks with a third period comeback.
Marleau scores! Patrick Marleau wins it in overtime! Sharks lead the series 3-0. This is the Red Wings' second must-win, and Todd McClellan said he expects tonight a hurricane from the Detroit Red Wings. And he scores! He scores! Score! Johan Franzen scores a natural same-period hat-trick in a span of 5 minutes and 4 seconds. Town has come alive.
Bury that game and bury the shovel with it and get on to Saturday night.
Sharks' third straight power play. And they score! Now back in front, Marleau. He scores! The San Jose Sharks have done it! They've knocked off the Detroit Red Wings in 5 games.
This is going to be one of the sweetest handshakes the Sharks have ever had.
Welcome to the Western Conference Finals, Sharks, and you earned it.
In the quarter and semifinals, San Jose faced 2 opponents of opposite extremes. Colorado was young and quick. Detroit were the relentless veterans. To break down the Sharks in their first 2 rounds, as well as preview what's next, here's Scott Reese and Jamie Baker.
Brody, thanks very much. Bakes, what a wild ride it's been already, only halfway to the so-called promised land. But after watching the first 2 rounds, up close and personal, what has stood out to you more than anything else?
I think, what really sticks out, I think, is the fact that San Jose has found different ways to win. Coming back in Game 2 against Colorado, coming back from a 1-goal deficit 5 different times, winning that game in overtime, losing Game 3 in overtime, winning Game 4 in overtime, and really dominating in Games 2 and 3, and then blowing out Colorado in Game 5. That led to the Game 6 win. And then if you look at the series against Detroit, they found ways to win. All the 4 games they won, they all won either in the 3rd period or in overtime. And the one time they won in overtime, it's because they came back from a 3-1 lead against Detroit. in the third period. I mean, Detroit had won 61 straight home playoff games where they had a 2-goal lead or more. And San Jose found a way to overcome that. So they've found different ways to overcome adversity and win. That's what it's all about at playoff time.
The adversity more mental or physical through the first 2 rounds?
You have to have both. I mean, I think the outside world is going to talk about, you know, them mentally overcoming it. That's a big part of playoff hockey is, you know, they say 90% of the game is mental. I think from San Jose's standpoint, though, you still have to have the skill. I mean, they have to have the guys like Pavelski and Klo and Setaguchi, guys that can score goals when the Thornton line wasn't. And then, you know what? Pavelski's line slows down, cools off a little bit, and then the Thornton, Heatley, Marleau line, they heat up and really take over the Detroit series. So you have to have the skill, that's the physical component. You have to have the mental side. We saw Nabokov bounce back after Game 2 against Colorado. So we've seen all attributes. That's why they're in the conference finals.
It's not going to get any easier from here on in. You still got 8 victories if you want to hoist that cup. What do the Sharks need to do going forward that will help them get there?
I think you got to keep playing the same way. You got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in your system. I mean, the Sharks have worn down other teams. And if you're playing physical, it's like it's an investment. And Todd McLellan talks about it. You got to put the investment in early to get the payback later on in a series. You may not get all the breaks. You know, the hockey gods may not look down at you and give you all the breaks. We saw that early in the Colorado series. But San Jose stuck to the game plan. And you know what? They got the breaks in the Detroit series. So, you know, you can't focus on the intangibles. You focus on what you can do. And I like what Scotty Nichols said earlier in the first round. He goes, you know, I love coming back to the bench after every shift, totally exhausted, because I know I laid it on the line the entire shift. You know what? You need every guy doing that all the time. When you do that physically, you know what? Good things can start to happen. Yeah, you got to be good to be lucky and lucky to be good, but you got to trust in yourself. And I think these guys trust in each other, and I think they trust in the coaching staff and the system, and you got to play it through. And I think that's the most important thing.
And I know you believe this team has what it takes to win the cup. Why do you believe that?
Because I think they have all the pieces. It starts with the coaching staff, and you have to trust your coaches and the system that's in place, and you have to trust, you know, your goaltenders, your defensive core, and you got to trust your forwards. And there's a lot of balance on this team. I mean, I really like the third and fourth lines because they create a lot of energy. We haven't seen that in the years past. So if one game the Sharks are kind of flat out there, guys like Nickel and McGinn and Couture, Mitchell, some of these guys, they go running around, big hits, blocking shots, maybe draw a penalty. That gets the crowd going if they're at HP. It might quiet the crowd if you're on the road, but that gets other guys energized. So we're seeing different guys contribute. It's a team effort. It takes all the little pieces, and we've seen more of that this year than we've seen in the years past.
Well, we will see how it plays out. We appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
Coming up after the break, Drew Remenda sits down with the man who calls the shots behind the Sharks bench. Head coach Todd McLellan, in an exclusive one-on-one, says what a big step it was for the franchise to beat Detroit. That's next as we continue our search for hockey's Holy Grail. Sharks head coach Todd McLellan has only 2 NHL seasons under his belt, yet the San Jose bench boss already seems years beyond his experience at the highest level, always delivering the right messages to both the media and his players. Drew Remenda brings us inside the mind of the man in charge.
You called the series win over Detroit an important win for the organization. Why?
For a number of reasons. The first and most obvious reason is the fact that we get to move on in the playoffs. That's what our goal is. And was, and we'll be looking to do that again next round. But the fact that we played against a team that had our number, a fact that that team had been to the Stanley Cup finals and won it once in the prior 2 years, I think there's so many reasons for us to take the positives out of that series and move on. And then individually, you can look at some of the players that were questioned prior to the playoffs, after the playoffs last year. They answered a lot of those questions by leading the team. I'm thinking of Patty, Nabby, Jumbo. Without their contributions, we wouldn't be where we are today.
So in this situation, you've been here before. You know it gets tougher from here on in. Do you have to remind the guys? You have to tell the guys it gets tougher? Do you have to as a coach?
Well, it gets tougher in the fact that the opponent you're playing is a very good one. Their weaknesses get fewer and fewer. Their strengths are stronger, obviously, because you're down to 4 teams. But in some sense, it also gets easier. The motivating part of the game it doesn't exist as much anymore. The players understand where they are. They know what's left in the season. They know how close they are. It's not about getting them to the practice rink and pushing them and prodding them. They have their own energy now. They bring it and they're ready to get prepared. So it gets very difficult as far as the opponent goes, but it simplifies itself a little bit more when the motivating part comes in.
What do you want to see your team improve on?
Well, I think we're going to have to be better special teams wise. And that's where you see the cream of the crop come out. Power plays are better, penalty kills especially are better, and we're going to have to be better in those areas. You know, coaches are always looking for consistency, and some would say, well, you know what, you've come back and you fought your way through a lot of games, you've only had one stinker. I still think we can be more consistent throughout games. We have a tendency after the first period to let up a little bit, so that's an area that we'd like to correct heading into the second, and we'll go from there.
Why overcome? Why was that the word that you picked to get your message across this?
Well, any time that I've been involved in the playoffs and have had success, we've had to overcome something. And you never know what it is, you don't know when it's going to arise. So instead of dealing with it at that time, we thought we'd talk about it before it happened. Right before the playoffs started, that's exactly what we spoke to them about, was overcoming moments, overcoming failures, if you will, overcoming bad calls. Quite frankly, I didn't think we'd have to overcome as early as we needed to. Game 1 against Colorado right off the bat. Game 3, scoring on ourselves in Colorado.
Well, has there been a moment in this playoffs that was the moment where they overcame, where it was their aha moment? Oh, I get it. Has there been one that you looked at and went, ah? I
still believe it's too early for us to determine that moment. I think there's many more moments to come. If this was the end and today it was done, you know, the scoring on ourselves would be a big moment. The ability to come back in Game 2 in Colorado was a big moment. The Detroit series, getting spanked 7-1, and then responding the next night was a moment. But I still think the premier or the elite moment is still ahead of us, and we're going to have to respond appropriately.
People are going to ask you going into this next series, well, what are you going to do differently? What are you going to do for an encore? How do you get your guys up for it? I think you've already answered it. Can you give us a hint about what you'll talk to the guys about?
Well, we will have done all our preparation. We will have addressed the team based on our opponent's team play, special teams, face-offs, everything every other team does in the league.
Will it all be pretty much just X and O's, reminding them to be repetitive, or will you?
No, there will be other conversations. We'll talk about how we want to play lines against lines. We'll talk about situations that may arise in the game. And I'll also let them know that they're ready. They need to know now, after so many people doubting them, they need to know that there's a lot of people that believe in them. I don't think that ever existed outside our locker room. But we'll continue to remind them that if they do it right, they have as good a chance as anybody.
Still ahead, we go all access with Sharks centerman Joe Pavelski, from his ride to the rink to all the sounds of a morning skate. And does he like being called the Big Pavelski? We'll find out. Joe Pavelski is a Wisconsin native who recently represented the United States in the Olympics and was a big part of winning the silver medal. But now the San Jose resident has the golden touch in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and we give you all access now with the Sharks' number 8, also known as the Big Pavelski.
Joe Pavelski strikes again. That's it. Oh, what a goal! What level's this guy going to go to? What an incredible performance by Pavelski. And Pavelski scores again.
Stanley Cup playoffs, full of pressure, a lot of anxiety, a lot of expectations. You able to have any fun with this at all?
No, we're having a lot of fun with it right now, I think. It worked so far, and it's kind of, we've had a little adversity. So, I mean, it hasn't been easy by any means. Detroit was a great team, and so is Colorado, and they pushed us. So I think we established our work ethic. It's, you know, we have more than enough skill to overcome the other things.
You want me to take it, brother? Okay, we got to come back then.
Like, you look back, my first year we played Detroit. they beat us and they went on to win a cup and stuff. So it was kind of fitting we're going to have to overcome a couple of teams, and we got to realize there's a lot more out there though. That we've only been to 2 rounds. We're in the 3rd round. We're just starting the second half of this, and teams only get better and stronger and more determined.
Pavelski backs in. Oh, what a goal!
After the break, we'll hear from the players themselves. Thornton, Boyle, Nabokov. What do the Sharks' top players say about the team's postseason success in 2010? And how will it translate into the most important games to come? In Search of Hockey's Holy Grail continues. They are a group of men assembled for one purpose. Not to be good in the regular season, not to be better in the postseason, but to win the Stanley Cup. General Manager Doug Wilson has always said all year long that he has all the right pieces to the puzzle. But how things fit into place here down the stretch? There's nobody better to answer that question than the players themselves as they look back on the last month and a half.
Now back in front, Marlowe! He scores! Patty Marlowe! It's 2-1!
Every series will be tough. Playoffs, everybody wants to win no matter what seed you are.
Colorado, such a weird series. Us scoring in our end a couple times, just a lot of emotional highs, a lot of emotional lows, but a very, very tough series.
Everything's on the line and everyone's playing their best out there. You know, starting with Colorado, it was a hard, gritty series, and you know, we knew we had to work every night.
It's all about how you handle the wins and how you handle the losses and ups and downs, and I think we've been through a lot.
Against Detroit, we wanted to come out strong. They had a good team, and you know, we wanted to prove to ourselves and to everybody that we can do it. And you know, we played well. We played as a team.
The San Jose Sharks have done it! The Sharks are going to hockey's Final Four. They've knocked off the Detroit Red Wings in 5 games.
We've had success from different lines. Obviously, Pavelski's line, you know, was a big reason why we won the first series, and I think Jumbo's line took over in this last series, and that's why we are where we are today.
That was kind of the plan this summer, was to go out and get some guys to help contribute in different areas that maybe have been lacking in the past. See guys like Manny and Scotty, and you know, those guys go out there, and you know, even the young guys in McGinn, and they're working hard, they're getting energy, and they're, you know, taking a little bit of time away from the big guys to help them get some rest and hopefully keep them fresh so they're able to go out and you know, contribute down the stretch.
I think that's been our Achilles heel in years past is our secondary scoring. And then this year, I think we're just getting scoring from all over the place, from Scotty Nickel, from Danny Halter, from Joe Pavelski, from Danny Heatley. So I think it just shows how much balance we have, and really just the depth of our team this year.
That's the key to success most of the times. If you look really how the other teams win the Stanley Cup, and that's what they get. They got the points from everybody at some point in the game, at some point in the series, or at some point in the playoff.
Pavelski on the quick stop, fires it from the score! Brian Cole, an amazing move. He's given San Jose a 2-1 lead.
We feel we have a very good team, a good chemistry, and I think we can overcome anything. And right now we're doing a very good job, and we got to keep it up. But there's a lot of work left to do, and we're well aware of that.
There's bad bounces in hockey, and you know it's going to happen. It's not always going to be a perfect ride. If you look back, you know, previous winners in the Stanley Cup, you know, they all have their bumps in the road, and it's how you come out of it. And you know, I think we've done a good job.
Nabby's, he's the backbone of this team, and when he's on our game, we can just feel the confidence that he gives us. And but we've been riding him all year long, and we'll still ride him here in the postseason. But he's been playing great.
You're not going to go anywhere without your goalie. It's probably the most important position in hockey, and definitely in the playoffs, and probably the biggest reason why we are where we are.
Nabokov comes out, Shatterberg, and Nabokov makes the save!
am absolutely positive that if we play the way we've been playing lately, I think we can take on anybody.
We play the way we want to play. I think we'll be successful. That's the most important thing.
I believe, we got 12 great forwards, 6 great defensemen, and we got Nabby and net. So I think when we're playing our game, we're just wearing teams down. Yeah, they might, win game 1 or 2, but I think, as the 7-game series goes along, I think we can definitely wear down teams because we're big, we're strong, we're fast. So I think if we play our game, I don't think anybody can stop us.
The time
is now.
We hope you've enjoyed the search of hockey's holy grail. For complete Sharks news coverage, tune in 3 times nightly to SportsNet Central at 6, 10:30, and midnight, or always online at csnbayarea.com. Plus, don't miss our expanded coverage of Sharks postgame live on Comcast SportsNet California. Go to csncalifornia.com for the most updated listings. For all of us at Comcast SportsNet in San Francisco, I'm Brody Brazil, and we'll see you at the tank.